Riva Taylor is with us here today. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing very well, thank you.
Now, you've got a latest release called If I Could Ever Stop Loving You. Can you just describe the basic idea of that song for us, first of all?
Yeah, this is a song that is actually the opening track on my latest album
Mm.
release, which is called TWH.2. That came out last month, and it's one of the featured singles. If I Could Ever Stop Loving You is about being cool with and accepting the fact that you're still going to love someone in life,
Yeah.
even though a relationship might have ended. So it's once you've been through the heartbreak, you've overcome that part, and you're sort of accepting of the fact that love can sometimes be everlasting, but you can
Yeah.
love again.
Yeah. And is it inspired by true events?
Oh, I think all of my songs are inspired by true events
Mm.
generally, or things that, other people's stories, or things that I see. But for sure, this one was written, yes, from personal experience. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. And being completely honest, how long did the song take you to write from start to finish?
It was actually a relatively easy process.
Mm.
I co-wrote this one with another fantastic writer,
Yeah.
a chap called Dennis Neuer, and
Oh,
it was actually I wrote it over in Berlin.
yeah.
I have very fond memories of Berlin. I've been there a few times now, and I always have
Mm.
very successful writing trips there, it seems. So yeah, this took a day, and
Mm.
actually, a lot of the backing vocals you hear, the choir sound, are actually
Oh.
me and the other writer on the day,
Mm.
who put those vocals down, and we ended up keeping it for the finished article. So yeah, it took a day.
Yeah. Well, that's quite fast then.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, you never know. Sometimes people ask me how long it takes to write a song, um, I read recently that The Sound of Silence, one of my favourite songs by
Yeah.
Simon and Garfunkel, it took years to
Mm.
finesse. It was just something that lived with them for years, and it was only
Yeah.
something that inspired the actual the finished article, and allowed them to
Yeah.
put their pen down. So with a song, I've had songs that have stayed with me a few years as well, and
Mm.
I've returned to them, and I've thought, you know what, now is the moment to breathe life into this one.
Yeah.
Often when you're put into writing sessions with other writers, you have the day, so you try
Mm.
to make the most of it, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to create the best song under pressure. So
Yeah.
yeah, this one, fortunately, we managed to write something that felt solid, and I'm so pleased people are liking it.
Yeah. I guess there's such a diversity in the time it takes to write songs. Some people can write them in 5 minutes, others it takes years, and I guess you wouldn't really notice the length it took to write if you're just a passive listener.
No, all that people care about is the connect at the end of the day,
Yeah.
and I think Robbie Williams' Angels that came on the radio the other day, and it just has a very important meaning for me, because it was
Yeah.
sadly someone who's passed away now. It was their favourite song, so whenever I hear
Mm.
that song, I think of them, and and that didn't take them long at all. I think it took like a matter of an hour or two to write Angels. Him,
Wow.
him and Guy Chambers just sat together, and
Yeah.
they created this song without having to think. And I think very often the best songs do happen that way, because
Yeah.
you're just fully in the moment. And I think if you've got the magic balance and blend at that moment in time, either you're writing with someone fantastic. I'm so sorry, something keeps pinging. Um, I hope it's not picking it up. You can still
Mm.
pick me up here, can't you?
Yes, but it doesn't
Yeah, okay.
matter.
Right. Sorry about my pinging.
Yeah.
21st century problems.
Mm.
So yes, yeah, I think it's just, you've got to have that magic formula in the moment. And I recently wrote a song called Celebrate, which is on,
Yeah.
again, my album. And it's turned into be one of my favorite songs. And that was an incredibly different writing process when I wrote that one.
Yeah.
That one took a day, but when we say a day, it really took the best part of a full day, because we didn't really get to the title of the song, Celebrate, until about 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, me and the writer hadn't really got much down other than the
Mm.
beautiful piano melody. So
Yeah.
I think that these things teach you perseverance, and people seem to create that song. I was despairing because I thought we might not actually, it might be a wasted day, and then we might not actually end up with anything at all. But it just clicked at the right moment. We'd gone out for a coffee, we'd had a little chat, we'd had a breather, all sorts of other things had happened that day, and a song landed at a time of night that normally, I'd be having my tea and going off to bed. I'm very much a daytime writer, but this time the blend with him was that it happened late at night. So that definitely, I'm always learning with, I think, the process of songwriting, and that one definitely taught me some lessons.
Yeah. And your song, If I Could Ever Stop Loving You, was played on Radio 2 as well, right?
That's right. Yeah, I'm thrilled that on the Ryland show they introduced it as a new to 2 song for them. So they've been playing on Radio 2. So that was a great introduction there.
Yeah, it's great to have it on the most popular radio station in Europe, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's go back to the start here. How did you first get into music in the first place then? So
I've been doing music for the best part of my life, and it was a hobby. It was a hobby initially. I just loved singing. I was in the West End as a kid because I said to my parents that I went to go and see Les Miserables and said I want to be one of those girls on the stage. So off they took me for my audition, and I got the part. And I didn't really turn back for a good few years after that point. I was fortunate to get a record deal very young at the age of 12.
Wow.
And that sort of whisked me off on this journey. What was great about it is it still did feel a bit like a hobby. I don't know if the label was so happy with me viewing it like that, but I was still in full-time education, or as much as I could be in education, and I was also making albums, and it was sort of the best part of every world for me. And taking a little break for a few years to go and study. That was a strange time for me because it was the first point in a very long time that I hadn't done music so professionally and full time. But it was a useful time as well. And then actually sort of decided to go and write songs, which is something that I'd always had a passion for. But I think I'd been a closet writer in my bedroom, writing poetry and things. And I just decided that I think like I hadn't ever married the worlds of songwriting and singing. I was just a singer, singing other people's songs, and I wanted to be more than that. So I think the second chapter of my career, which is from 20s onwards, is where we're at now.
Yeah. And I guess perhaps do you find it easier to sing your own songs because the heart is there?
Yes. I think you're right. I think it's experience as well that you connect with the words that you sing. And also I love the fact that they're words that no one else has ever sung before. I think there's something quite powerful in that. And I think all singers, if they hear a great song that another artist has written that maybe they wish they'd written themselves, they will cover it. And I'm not adverse to that in any way, shape or form. But I certainly always sort of had this goal, the more I thought about it, that I would be so proud to have other people singing my songs, and people to love it, and also to package up my experiences in a way that can connect with other people. So that was something that was a real focus of mine.
And throughout your musical career, do you have any particular highlights that stand out to you?
Oh, goodness. I've got a few. I was, as I say, very lucky when I was young. I was invited to do some really special things, some great performances. My debut was at the Royal Albert Hall, which has got a really important place for me, actually. I performed there a few times now, and every time I'm there, it takes me back to that first time when I was 12 years old, and it was kind of my debut performance. So that one really resonates because it was my first major performance as sort of a recording artist. But more recently, it was really special performing at the British Summertime Festival because it had been a little while since I had done some live stuff. I wanted to get my set ready that I've been working on, my own songs, and I was invited to do that. So that felt great. So I was really proud to sort of be up there again. And it was a day that it was a Barbara Streisand was the headliner. So, I grew up listening to Barbara Streisand. So it was a really fantastic concert and day to be a part of.
Yeah. And when you're not making music, do you have fun things that you like to get up to in your spare time?
Yeah, 100%. What do I like to do? I'm really into my fitness, actually, and I think it's sort of changed throughout the years. I grew up doing sport. I grew up doing a lot of dancing, actually, so I've always been on the go. So I think I carry that with me. So every day, every morning, I'll be doing a yoga class or gym or whatever. So that's just something I enjoy. I'm actually doing a London Marathon this year as well. So I'm excited about having something to focus on.
Yeah.
What else do I enjoy? I love art. So, I'll often sketch and do things like that. I find that very relaxing. Sorry, there's a car alarm that's just gone off. It's all happening. There we go. I think that might be stopped. So yeah. And right now, I can't think of anything more exciting than going out and just socialising and having fun with some friends, because this year's been a challenge for us all. And while that, we take those things for granted, going out for a margarita and socialising, but actually being sociable is something that that I enjoy, and I've realised so much that I thrive on. Being around people and being part of community and learning from other people and experiences. And I've sort of struggled in that respect, possibly as a songwriter as well, because as I say, you learn, you form songs based on other people's words and experiences as well. So yeah.
And in the not too distant future, have you got any more albums and singles that you're thinking of releasing for us?
It's really funny because This Woman's Heart .2, TWH.2, so it's This Woman's Heart, is the second part of a 2-part album that I released, sort of straddled the pandemic. So I released the first part, This Woman's Heart .1, in March of 2020, and then the second part has just come out now. So obviously my focus is on promoting that and being behind the music there. But that said, I'm feeling a bit more creative all of a sudden. It goes in waves, and I've been writing my own more stuff. I've got so many songs that could come out, but writing some fresh material that feels actually quite good and exciting. So I think in this day and age with Spotify and being able to upload and distribute tracks relatively quickly, it's quite an exciting prospect that actually something that I could, complete today could be out in a month's time for everyone to hear. So I think never say never. There'll definitely be something else out this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exciting. Well, where are we able to have a listen to all the music that you have released, and in particular, your latest album, TWH2? Yes,
well, you can hear on all streaming platforms, TWH.2, and all my singles, including this, If I Could Ever Stop Loving You, is available on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, etc., whatever you fancy listening on. And obviously I'm there on social media, Instagram I'm Riva Taylor, and Twitter I am Riva Taylor. So do let me know what you think.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us on the show today. It's been great having you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.